Hello everyone, in this video you will see me reviewing thesis submitted to me by my students. So you will see my style in commenting and checking my students' work. Maybe it will benefit you as a student, or maybe it will benefit you if you are a supervisor and you want to know how other supervisors review their students' thesis. Let's look at the title. Test Anxiety Among Male Students, a case study of Saudi EFL students in the preparatory year program. I hate this information here because I want to make it anonymous, and also the name of the students. I hate it here. Okay, so let's look at the abstract. This abstract is colored in yellow because I have asked for major amendments, and basically the student has rewritten the whole abstract altogether. Alright, let's look at this one. This is what we call structured abstract, where you have introduction, methodology, findings, and conclusion highlighted in the abstract. So this is not the traditional format of abstract. It is called structured abstract. It is good that UNISA is now using this structured abstract because it will help the students to include all the important things needed to be included in the abstract. Okay, let's look at his abstract introduction. In the past few decades, investigating the sources of test anxiety has increasingly attracted the attention of many researchers in the field of foreign language teaching. However, the sources of test anxiety that influence the performance of Saudi students have rarely been investigated. So far so good. The background of the study is good. This mixed method study aimed to identify the causes of test anxiety so as to suggest certain strategies to overcome test anxiety among Saudi students who learn English as a foreign language in the preparatory year program PYP at the University of Hull. So now you know that the context is conducted at the University of Hull, the one that I hate in the title level, but that's fine. Yeah. Methodology. Okay, so far the introduction is okay. Let's look at the methodology. The study involved 100 participants from the English Language Skills Department as one intergroup. Okay, so as a whole class. Yeah, the data was collected mainly through Swing's Test Anxiety Questionnaire, Kondo and Yingling. So I need to put here review. I'll put here track changes, Kondo and Yinglis test anxiety questionnaire and semi-structured interviews with 50 participants out of the 100 who completed the questionnaire. So this is very clear. It's a mixed method study involving questionnaire completion and also semi-structured interviews with 50 of the 100 who completed the questionnaire. So basically the methodology is clear. The data obtained from the participants' responses were analyzed using descriptive statistical analysis and thematic analysis. So this is fine. Yeah? Basically it is known that descriptive statistical analysis is for the quantitative analysis, and thematic analysis is for the interview. Alright, the findings reveal that there were several causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which are waiting for a test to be handed out, the need to get a high mark to pass the course, the student's level of readiness for the test, the fear of the coming test, the professor's technique of correcting answers, and the large amount of questions in the test, and the student's ability to answer the first questions. Alright, so here I found something that is a bit problematic. This one is okay. If you look at this part is okay. Okay, let's make green here. The part that is okay, I'll make it green. This finding is okay, and then the student's level of readiness is okay, and the fear of the coming test is fine. The professor's technique in correcting answer this one I think is a bit problematic for now, because it sounds a bit a bit weak for me, and also this one waiting for a test to be handed out. The large amount of questions in the test is fine, but we need to state it differently, and the student's ability to answer the first questions. This is also problematic because now we're not sure the test anxiety that he's talking about is the test anxiety that he's talking about is whether the test during the anxiety when they are undertaking the test, or what does he mean by test anxiety in this context. So I'm not sure now. So the findings reveal that there were several causes for the students' high level anxiety, which includes, I think because this is problematic, this is maybe problematic. I'm not saying that it is totally problematic. Maybe it's going to be problematic, so I'm going to remove it from this abstract, so that we don't want to put something that is trivial in the abstract. Right, so let's see how we do this. The findings reveal that there were several causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which include, okay, so we'll remove this one, which include which include the need to get a high mark to pass the course, the student level of readiness for the test, this is also problematic actually. The need to get a high mark to pass a course, the student's level of readiness, the professor's technique of correcting answers is a bit problematic, the large amount of questions in the test, and the student's ability to answer the first question. So this is a bit problematic. See, it's not easy to comment. You have to think, you have to make sense of the student's work. It's not easy, I can tell you. The findings reveal that there were several causes for the student's high level of anxiety, which include the need to get a high mark to pass the course, and the student's level of readiness for the test. What? The professor's technique of correcting answers. This seems irrelevant for the data for test anxiety. The large amount of questions in the test, and the student's ability to answer the first questions. So okay, I can see that the finding is actually trying to regroup kind of like pre-test, during the test, and then post-test. So this is pre-test, which include the need to get a high mark to pass the structure, the student's level of readiness. The fear of the coming test is basically the courses prior to taking the test, and then the large amount of questions in the test and the student's ability to answer the first questions are the sources during the test when they are undertaking the test, and then the professor's techniques of correcting answers is basically after the test. So can you see, if you receive something like this from student, it's very, very stressful for you, because you need to think and you need to make sense and you need to try to organize. So basically the findings reveal that there were several causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which different causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which took place which there were several courses for the student high level thing, which the findings reveal that there were several courses. The findings reveal that there were several courses for the student high level thing, which took place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. So after the test. Okay, so the findings reveal that there were several causes for the student's high level of anxiety, which took place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The findings reveal that there were several causes for the student's high level of anxiety, which took place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. Okay. Alright, so I would say like this. The need to get a high mark to pass the course. The need to get the pressure to get a high mark to pass the course, the student's level of readiness for the test, and the fear of the coming test, took place. The courses the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. The findings reveal that there were several causes for the student's high level of anxiety, which took place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The pressure to get a high mark to pass the course, the student level of readiness for the test, and the fear of the coming test are the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. While this, and then we have here the large amount of questions. Okay, I put here the large amount of questions in the test and the student's ability to answer the first question. The sources of anxiety when the students taking tests. Yes. The lecturer's technique. The lecturer's feedback. It should be the lecturer feedback. Right, is the is the source of anxiety. The findings reveal that there were several causes for the students' high-level anxiety which took place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The pressure to get a high mark to pass the course, and the students' level of readiness for the test, and the fear of the coming test are the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. The large amount of questions in the test and the students' ability to answer the first questions are the sources of anxiety when the sources of anxiety during the test. During the test, the lecture. The source of anxiety after the lecture feedback is a source of anxiety after the students have finished. The findings reveal that there were several causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which took place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The pressure to get a high mark to pass the course, the students' level of readiness for the test, and the fear of the coming test are the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. The large amount of questions in the test and the students' ability to answer the first question are the sources of anxiety during the test. The lecturer feedback. The lecturer feedback is source of anxiety after the source of anxiety. Findings reveal that there are several causes with a high level of anxiety. The findings reveal that there are several causes. So this was analyzed. The findings reveal that there are several causes for the students' high level of anxiety which take place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The wait time, just now, right? The wait time for the test. 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 The pressure to get a high mark to pass the course. The student's level of readiness for the test, and the fear of the coming tests were saying the wait time for the test, the wait time for the test, the pressure to get a high mark to pass the course, the student's level of readiness, and the fear of the coming test is basically redundant with the wait time for the test, so I'm gonna delete this. The wait time for the test, the pressure to get a high mark to pass a course, and the student's level of readiness for the test are the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. The large amount of questions in the test, the large number of questions, the large amount of questions in the test, and the student's ability to answer the first questions are the sources of anxiety during the test. The lecturer feedback is a source of anxiety. Which takes place after the test. The study also found that the students use different anxiety coping strategies, such as this thinking, preparation, concentration, realization range from rare to very often. It is also revealed that the students have negative views on tests and negative views on test anxiety. Negative views on test anxiety, where they view it as a problem or disease, like a threat and a challenge. Conclusion: this study concludes that test anxiety is common among students. And it affects the first year male students in a bad way, since it is viewed negatively by the students. This study recommends that it is essential for academic programs that include courses which highlight stress management and coping skills, such as identifying stress, finding support, and managing stress. Besides, educational institutions also need to provide support incorporating mental, cultural, psychological, and social content, as well as self-care and stress management subjects in teaching EFL curriculum. Besides, educational institutions also need to provide support in incorporating mental, cultural, psychological, and social skills. These studies recommend essential backgrounds to include social like stress management, such as stress finding, support, and managing stress. The institution also need to provide support incorporating mental, cultural, psychological. Mental and psychological is the same. Incorporating. I'm not sure how this is relevant now. Mental, cultural, psychological. Psychological is relevant because it is anxiety. But then how about cultural and social content now, as well as self-care and stress management subject in teaching EFL curriculum. Besides, faculty essential for academic programs to include courses and programs social stress management and coping skills, stress finding support and managing stress. Besides education, so I feel like the student just throw everything now: mental, cultural, psychology, social content. I just think that the students just throw everything without really thinking of what to include. So that's why this last sentence is a bit problematic for me. So, in teaching EFL curriculum, why suddenly in teaching EFL curriculum? So this study concludes that test anxiety is common among students and it affects female students in a bad way since it is viewed negatively by the students. This study recommends that it is essential. Study calls for this study recommends that it is essential for academic programs, especially for to include courses which highlight courses essential for academic programs for this study recommends that it is essential for academic programs, especially for the EFL courses. For academic programs include courses which highlight stress management and coping skills so that students can be prepared to manage the anxiety that may arise in learning English as a foreign language. I think this should be fine for now. Right, let me read one more time. So that students can be prepared to manage the anxiety that may arise in learning English as a foreign language? Maybe we'll give it a try. In the past few decades, investigating the sources of test anxiety has increasingly attracted the attention of many researchers in the field of foreign language teaching. However, the sources of test anxiety that influence the performance of Saudi students have rarely been investigated. This mixed method study aimed to identify the causes of test anxiety so as to suggest certain strategies to overcome test anxiety among Saudi students who learn English as a foreign language in the preparatory year program (PYP) at the University of Hull. Methodology: the study involved 100 participants from the English Language Skills department as we don't need here from the English Language Skills department as one intake group. The data was collected mainly. So the study involved 100 participants from the English Language Skills department. English Language Skills department. The study involved 100 students, 100 male students. Okay, 100 male students from the English Language Skills department. The data was collected mainly through test anxiety questionnaire, Kondo and Yingling's test anxiety questionnaire, and semi-structured interviews with 50 participants out of the 100 who completed the questionnaire. The data obtained from the participant responses was analyzed using descriptive statistical analysis and thematic analysis. The quantitative data of the participants' responses were analyzed using statistical analysis, whilst the qualitative data was analyzed using thematic analysis. Findings. The findings reveal that there are several causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which take place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The wait time for the test, the pressure to get a high mark to pass a course, and the students' level of readiness for the test are the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. The large amount of questions in the test and the students' ability to answer the first questions are the sources of anxiety during the test. The lecturer feedback is a source of anxiety which takes place after the test. The study also found that the students use different anxiety coping strategies. For example, positive thinking, preparation, concentration, relaxation, and resignation range from rare to very often. It is also revealed that the students have negative views on test anxiety, where they view it as a problem, a disease-like, a threat, and a challenge. Conclusion: this study concludes that test anxiety is common among students, and it affects the first-year male students in a bad way, since it is viewed negatively by the students. This study recommends that it is essential for academic programs to include courses which highlight stress management and coping skills, so that students can be prepared to manage the anxiety that may arise in learning English as a foreign language. So let me check one more time before I stop. In the past few decades, investigating the sources of test anxiety has increasingly attracted the attention of many researchers in the field of foreign language teaching. However, the sources of test anxiety that influence the performance of Saudi students have rarely been investigated. This mixed method study aimed to identify the causes of test anxiety so as to suggest certain strategies to overcome test anxiety among Saudi students who learn English as a foreign language in the preparatory year program at the University of Hull. The study involved 100 male students from the English Language Skills Department. The data was collected mainly through Soin's Test Anxiety Questionnaire, Kondo and Yingling's Test Anxiety Questionnaire. Test Anxiety Questionnaire, mainly through Soin's Test Anxiety Questionnaire. Alright, we don't need this one as well here. Okay, in the Portfolio program, we don't need this one. Here in the abstract program at the University of Hull, the study involved 100 male students from the English Language Skills Department. The data was collected mainly through Soin Test Anxiety Questionnaire, Kondo and Yingling Test Anxiety Questionnaire, and semi-structured interviews with 50 participants out of the 100 who completed the questionnaire. The data was collected through because these students has combined these two questionnaire. Okay, so the students has combined these two questionnaire into one questionnaire. So now how are we going to fix this? The data was collected mainly through Test Anxiety Questionnaire, adapted from Soin, right? I think Soin was the name just now. I think it's Soin. Wait, adapted from Soin. Yes, from Soin. Adapted from Soin and Kondo. Soin and Kondo and Yingling, right? Okay, Yingling. All right. The data was collected mainly through Test Anxiety Questionnaire adapted from Soin and Kondo and Yingling, right? Because we don't usually put year in the abstract, because abstract need to be able to stand alone. Usually we don't put the year. For example, so in 2002, Kondo and Yingling 2025, we don't put that in the abstract usually, yeah. But I saw some people, when they come from different school of thought, they put the year besides the name Soin or besides the name Kondo and Yingling. But what I've been taught during my PhD studies, the abstract the abstract does not need to have the year in bracket, even if you cite someone, right? The data was collected mainly through Test Anxiety Questionnaire, adapted from Soin and Kondo, from Test Anxiety Questionnaire. Or maybe we don't have to mention them at all here because it's going to be a bit confusing. Through Test Anxiety Questionnaire and semi-structured interview, right? From Test Anxiety Questionnaire, right? Mainly through the data was collected mainly through Test Anxiety Questionnaire. The data was collected. We don't need mainly here, because the data was collected through Test Anxiety Questionnaire and semi-structured interviews with 50 participants out. Test Anxiety Questionnaire and semi-structured interviews. Okay, so data was collected through Test Anxiety Questionnaire and semi-structured interviews. All the participants completed the questionnaire. All completed the questionnaire, and 50 of them were interviewed. Nice. The study involved 100 male students from the English Language Skill Department. The data was collected through test anxiety questionnaire and semi-structured interviews. All participants completed the questionnaire, and 50 of them were interviewed. The quantitative data obtained from the quantitative data was analyzed using descriptive statistical analysis, whilst the qualitative data was analyzed using thematic analysis. The findings reveal that there are several causes for the students' high level of anxiety, which take place prior to the test, during the test, and after the test. The wait time for the test, the pressure to get a high mark to pass the course, and the student's level of readiness for the test are the sources of anxiety prior to undertaking the test. The large amount of questions in the test and the student's ability to answer the first questions are the source of anxiety during the test. The lecturer feedback is a source of anxiety which takes place after the test. The study also found that the students use different anxiety coping strategies. For example, positive thinking, preparation, concentration, relaxation, and resignation, ranging from rare to very often. It is also revealed that the students have negative views on test anxiety, where they view it as a problem, a dislike, a threat, and a challenge. This study concludes that test anxiety is common among students, among the students here, because we are referring to the students in the study. The study concludes that test anxiety is common among the students, and it affects them in a bad way, since it is viewed negatively. It affects the students, and by them, right? This study concludes that test anxiety is common among the students, and it affects among students. This study concludes that test anxiety is common among students, and it affects the students in a bad way, since it is viewed negatively by them. The study concludes that test anxiety is common among the students, and it affects them in a bad way, since it is viewed. The study concludes that test anxiety is common among students, and it affects the students in a bad way, since I think this is okay now. The study concludes that test anxiety is common among students, and it affects the students in a bad way, since it is viewed negatively by them. This study recommends that it is essential for academic programs to include courses which highlight stress management and coping skills, so that students can be prepared to manage the anxiety that may arise in learning English as a foreign language. Alright, I think this is good now. So, alright, so I think this is fine now. Wow. So if you see, it took me almost 1 hour just to fix the abstract, and I need to read this thesis, which is about 40,000 words. So you can imagine how long will it take for me to finish reviewing a thesis. But I'm just doing this because this is an abstract, so I'm gonna fix this, but I'm not going to fix the content. It is really time consuming for me to read line by line and try to fix the problem for them. This is not my job as a supervisor. I can just simply give general comments, but as I told you before, these students it's not really, I'm not sure. I love the students, but I don't really feel that he has the capability to write a good abstract. So that's why I take the effort to fix the abstract, because this is very important. It will give the first impression to the examiner whether the thesis is good or not. Right, so that's it. I hope this sharing is useful to you. Alright, thank you and bye.